You know exactly who you could be. That is the part nobody talks about. You do not need anyone to describe the better version of you because you already carry them around in your head. You can see them clearly. The version that wakes up early and does the work before the day swallows them. The version that stopped making the same mistake for the 5th time. The version that started the thing, finished the thing, showed up consistently for the thing. The version with the discipline, the focus, the follow-through. You know that person. You can feel them. And you also know that there is a gap between that person and the one you are living as right now. What I want to talk about today is what is actually in that gap. Because most people spend their whole lives aware of the gap without ever being fully honest about what is filling it. And what is filling it is not circumstances, not bad luck, not timing, not the wrong environment or the wrong resources or the wrong season of life. What is filling that gap is excuses. And I say that not to be harsh. I say it because naming it correctly is the only way to actually do something about it. An excuse is not always a lie. That is what makes them so effective and so dangerous. Most excuses contain a grain of truth. The timing really is not perfect. The resources really are limited. The circumstances really are difficult. The fear really is real. But an excuse takes that grain of truth and uses it to justify complete inaction. It takes something real and makes it into a reason why the better version of you is not available right now, why you have to wait, why you are the exception, why the rules that apply to everyone else do not quite apply to your situation. And the grain of truth gives the excuse enough weight that you can present it to yourself and believe it. And that is where the real damage happens, not when you lie to yourself, when you half-truth yourself into staying still. Think about the excuses you have been carrying, not the ones you say out loud, the ones you say to yourself, the ones that feel the most legitimate. I am too busy. I do not have the right connections. I did not grow up with the advantages other people had. I have responsibilities that other people do not. I am not ready yet. I need to learn more first. The time is not right. I will start properly once this season of life calms down. I hear you. And I want to say one more time that I am not dismissing the reality inside those statements. The busyness is real. The lack of resources is real. The responsibilities are real. But here's the question that cuts through all of it. Are those things actually stopping you, or are they the most convenient available reason to not do the uncomfortable thing? Because there is a difference. A real obstacle is something that physically prevents you from moving. An excuse is something that psychologically permits you to stay still. And most of what we call obstacles are actually the second thing dressed up as the first. Here's the version of this that I think lands closest to home for most people. The excuse that sounds the most like wisdom. The excuse that is hardest to argue with. And that excuse is, I am not ready yet. It is the most sophisticated version of staying still because it comes with the implication that you are being responsible, that you're taking the thing seriously enough not to do it badly, that you're honoring the work by waiting. But what it actually is, in most cases, is the fear of being bad at something dressed up as standards, the fear of failing in public dressed up as preparation, the fear of the gap between your current ability and your vision dressed up as patience. And it is so convincing because it sounds like it is in service of the thing when really it is in service of staying safe. Ready is not coming. You know that by now. You have been almost ready for long enough to see that the readiness is a moving target. You need to call that what it is. I want to talk about what excuses actually cost you because I think the full price is rarely calculated. The obvious cost is time. The years spent waiting for the right moment, the right resources, the right version of yourself. But the hidden cost is deeper than that. Every time you make an excuse and stay still, you are reinforcing a belief about yourself, a belief that you are someone who does not follow through, someone who talks but does not move. And that belief compounds. It becomes the story you tell about yourself, first to yourself and then eventually as evidence. I wanted to do that, but it never worked out. I had those dreams, but life got in the way. The full truth is that the excuses were in the way, not life. The stories you told yourself about why now was never the right time. Here's what I want you to understand about the people who do not have the gap. They are not more talented than you. What they have is a lower tolerance for their own excuses. When the excuse arrives, they have trained themselves to recognize it faster. And they move anyway, not because they feel like it, not because the circumstances are perfect. The only thing that closes it is action taken in spite of every excellent reason not to. That decision is available to you. The version of you that you can see so clearly is not waiting for the fear to go away. They are waiting for you. The only thing between you and them is a decision made consistently over time to stop accepting your own excuses. Decisions are free. So here is what I want you to do, and I want to be specific. Take the thing you have been making excuses about the longest, the one that has the most sophisticated excuse attached to it, the one that has been sitting there the longest. with the most convincing story about why now is not the right time. And I want you to do one thing today. Not the whole thing, not the finished version. One real step, the kind that costs you something, that requires you to take the excuse and put it down even though putting it down feels dangerous. Make the call. Write the first paragraph. Have the conversation. Send the message. Do the one thing that your excuse has been protecting you from, and notice what happens. Notice that the world does not end. Notice that the fear does not kill you. Notice that on the other side of the excuse is not disaster. It is just the next step. And the next step is always available. It has always been available. The excuse was the only thing making it feel unavailable. The gap between who you are and who you could be is real. I'm not minimizing it. It might be significant. It might represent years of potential unlived and choices unmade and versions of yourself that were possible but never shown up for. But that gap is not fixed. It is not permanent. It is not evidence of anything fundamental about who you are. It is evidence of the excuses you have been choosing over the actions that would have closed it. And excuses can be retired. Stories can be rewritten. Decisions can be made differently starting today. The better version of you is not a fantasy. They are a choice, one you have been postponing. Stop postponing it. The gap has been there long enough. And I want to talk about the social dimension of excuses, because I think it is one of the most underexamined parts of this. Excuses are not just something you tell yourself. They are something you build a social identity around. When you repeat the same excuse enough times to enough people, it becomes part of how people know you. The person who is always about to start something. The person who would have made it if not for this or that. The person with all the potential and none of the follow-through. And the people around you start to expect that, to predict it, to factor it into how they see you. And now the excuse is not just a private story, it is a public identity. And changing it means not just changing what you do, but changing what people expect of you. Which means dealing with the discomfort of being different from the version of you that everyone has already filed away. Some people will be surprised when you start moving. Some will be skeptical. Some will wait to see if it sticks this time. And all of that is manageable. What is not manageable is staying in the identity forever, because changing it felt socially awkward. Your potential is worth more than the social comfort of being predictable. Start being unpredictable. Start being the person who surprised everyone, including yourself. That is one of the best feelings available to a human being. And it starts the moment you put down the excuse that everyone, including you, has gotten so used to that it feels like just who you are. It is not who you are. It is what you have been choosing. Choose differently. Starting today. The gap closes one choice at a time, and the first choice is always the hardest and always the most worth making. So make it. Right now. Before this video ends and the excuse finds its way back, make the choice. Close the gap. Become the person you already know you are capable of being. They have been waiting long enough. You have kept them waiting long enough. It ends today, not because the circumstances finally changed, not because the fear finally went away, because you finally decided that the gap is more painful than the discomfort of closing it. That is the only reason anyone ever changes. Make it yours.